So, not even 24 hours ago, I discovered that my long distance boyfriend of over 4 months has been cheating on me this entire time. So, I guess let's talk about it. Back in July, I decided for my birthday that I wanted to fly to Portland to surprise my best friend who had moved there about 4 years ago. So, I flew in on July 24th, which was a Thursday, and we spent our first night together just going to dinner and hanging out. And then that Friday, July 25th, me and my best friend and her boyfriend decided to go bar hopping in downtown Portland, where we met a group of guys that happened to recognize me from social media, and we went and hung out with them at the table that they were standing at. And the guy that was standing next to me was really engaging in conversation, and he seemed kind of interested, and he had asked me what my plans were for the rest of the weekend. And I had told him that the following day we had planned on going to a Timbers game, to which he said that he actually was going to that game too, and that he even had an extra ticket. So he gave his extra ticket to me, and we all went to that same Timbers game together. So that following day was July 27th, a Sunday, my birthday. And we had invited him to come to the coast with us because we decided to go to Seaside for my birthday. And he came, he joined us, and he even asked if he could take me to dinner for my birthday and drive me to the airport the next day. So I didn't even spend my last night of my trip with my best friend. And she was in full support of it because he just seemed like such a genuine, nice guy who seemed really interested in me. So he took me to dinner for my birthday, and he drove me to the airport at 5 a.m. when it was time for me to head back to Arizona. That same night that I came back to Arizona, he actually FaceTimed me, and we had decided that we wanted to stay in contact and see where things could go. So exactly a week after I got back, he flew out to come see me. He had let me know that he was navigating a divorce, but that he had been about 3 months separated at that point. And he said he hadn't even slept with his wife in 2 years. So I really didn't think too much of it. And at that point in time, I really didn't think it was a red flag because of the fact that he was open and transparent about it. Now, something that's incredibly upsetting is that a couple weeks later, he flew out to New York for his aunt's celebration of life, and his birthday happened to fall during that trip. So he had decided after the celebration of life that he would stay the night with a friend who he knew from back home in Portland that now lives in New York. And on his birthday, there was a fantasy football podcast called The Ringer that was hosting a show in New York on his birthday. And he was texting me that he was still on the wait list and it didn't look like he was going to be able to get in. So I personally reached out to The Ringer and left them a very heartfelt message about the fact that my boyfriend's had a very rough year. He was navigating a divorce. He was in New York under sad circumstances, having lost his aunt. And I just said, I would really love to make his birthday if I could get him 2 tickets to that show. And they ended up reaching out to me, and they got him VIP tickets to the show, and he got to meet the cast, and they all wrote a birthday card for him, all telling him that he had an amazing girlfriend. At this point, he's calling me regularly, he's texting me regularly, he's telling me that he's bragging to all his friends about me and the amazing things that I've been doing for him and how I'm just such a good girlfriend. And fast forward to September, he comes and visits me for 4 days. We have an amazing time. And then I decide that I'm going to book a flight to see him the first weekend of October and then again for Halloween. So I flew out to Portland to visit him the first weekend in October. That went perfectly fine. And then for my trip to see him for Halloween, 2 of my friends wanted to come, get to know him, spend some time with him, scope him out, see how he interacts with people in his city, in his environment. So the day before we are supposed to fly out to Portland, he calls me in hysterics and says that his uncle had a stroke and that he actually will be flying out of Portland the day that I fly in to see him. So the entire time that I was in Portland, I was devastated knowing that I was in my boyfriend's city and that I would not get to see him because he had told me that he flew out to Austin, Texas to visit his uncle in the hospital because they weren't sure if he was going to survive the stroke. So a little over a week went by and he had let me know that his uncle was being discharged from the hospital and that they felt he was going to make it, and that he was flying back to Portland, and that as soon as he got back, he would make sure to make it up to me and book a flight to come see me. So 2-3 weeks later, he is supposed to come see me, and an hour before he is supposed to be heading to the airport to come see me, he calls me to let me know that that uncle had a second stroke and died. So you could imagine my surprise when on Monday this week I decided to look up his uncle on Facebook and see that he was actively posting. I don't understand how a dead person could actively be posting on Facebook. So I confronted him on the matter, and he admitted that the entire time I was in Portland, he was also in Portland on Halloween. He claims that he had checked himself into a mental health hospital and that he was just too embarrassed to talk to me about his mental state, and that he really wishes that he would have just chosen to be vulnerable and let me be there for him. So yesterday I decided to catch my boyfriend off guard and randomly asked him if I could see his phone. And he opened his text messages fully thinking that there would be none because he was actively deleting them as they would come in. But one happened to come in as I asked to see his phone, and he was texting someone that, well, let's just say she wasn't me. So I reached out to his ex-wife, and she had explained that the woman whose name I saw on his phone was the same woman that she found out he was having an affair with back in July. So I met him on July 25th, and his ex-wife had kicked him out on July 2nd. So he was not separated for as long as he told me he was. And the girl who he was texting while he was with me, he had been in a relationship with for 3 years. And he had just moved in with her in October, which is when he magically stopped calling and FaceTiming me due to his mental health issues. So I am the side piece to the side piece, and that is the story of my dating life.